Hello guys and welcome back to the channel. So in this video we're reviewing the T BOND Ultrasonic Cleaner. This guy over here. Stay tuned. So I've had this Ultrasonic Cleaner now for a year or two. It's really good. I've used it quite a lot, mainly carbs. I've not really cleaned pistons or anything, but for carburetors, fantastic. So I just thought I'd do a quick video on this, just basically show how it works. We might actually pull a carb off something, put it in, show how it cleans it. It's really simple, and it is a nice unit. And if you have a spare bit of cash, because they're not cheap, a kind of carb cleaner is, you know, £2-3. This cost I think about 110, 120, something like that. But you can get smaller. For carburetors you can definitely get a smaller one. There is loads of different variations out there. The brand basically, now I believe this is just a sticker, so although this is T BOND, you will see ones with different manufacturers up here. Some don't even have it at all. Some just stick this right across the top, but the display and everything is all the same. So I'm guessing this just peels off and they just put their own unique sticker on basically. But what you want to look for is on the back. This is a PS-40a. Now reading online, this is pretty much the one people want. So the unit is quite large. It is say 13 inch by say 10 by 11. So it's quite a large unit. One thing to note, this is actually sold as a 10 litre unit, but when I filled this up, I don't think it was even 9 litres, might have been less than 9. So inside, it's basically a little vat. It comes with a basket, which you can hook over the edge. And then this guy here, I picked up separately. It's a tea strainer from IKEA. It was a couple of pounds. When you're doing carbs, you have pins and other small items. This basket, it just falls straight through and it's a nightmare to get them back out. What I found is if I just put these inside the tea strainer, hook this over the side, and that seems to do the job. Ideally, the holes should be bigger. I could probably drill them out if I wanted to. The solution is from Machine Mart. It is just a ultrasonic parts cleaner solution you put in, and you dilute it down with some water. You probably would get better results if you use it neat. But it is about £9 for a litre, so it probably would cost you about £80 to fill the whole vat up. This costs £9, put some water in, and to be fair, for carbs, it really does a great job, and this is really all you need. One thing I don't like is this valve here. Now, I've never actually used this because I filled this up when I got it and I've not actually emptied it. So, I mean, I do clean the carbs first, to be truthful. I don't just take them off and chuck them straight in because I have loads of dirt and oil and grime and grit and everything on them. So I do actually clean them up first before putting them in. This is like a finer clean. This is to get into all the areas you can't really get to. It's not, you don't want to get a carburetor for a lawnmower which is covered in grass and mud. Chuck this in here because she's going to contaminate the water. So that's what I've always done, and the water has actually stayed really clean. I don't know if it's actually the cleaner itself breaking down all the particles, and maybe that's why it's so clean. Maybe all the debris at the bottom. So I've not actually drained the unit itself, but I do want to because it's winter now and I probably won't use this all that often. So I've been doing some cooling changes, so I've got some pressed stone storage containers. So the idea is to basically empty this into them containers, and when I want to use it, just fill it up, use it, and then re-empty it. But this design, this is going to shoot straight out, so that's not really practical. So I'll have to look in the garage to see if I've got an elbow, because I wouldn't mind putting an elbow on that. So it is quite simple to use. Basically, to turn the unit on, there's a rocker switch at the rear, which you can also use. And it's as simple as setting the temperature. So we could maybe set the temperature to 50 degrees. It's actually 13 now, so when you turn this on, that is going to heat up to 50 degrees. That will take a long time. You're talking a few hours. It heats up much quicker with it actually turned on. It's obviously the water's moving around, so it does heat up a lot faster. So if you don't mind the noise, it is best to turn it on, and that will go up much faster. But if you don't mind waiting, set it to whatever you want to do, say 50, and then just wait. Basically, once it gets the temperature, that light will turn off and you're good to go. The next step is setting the time. Now, I've never done 40 minutes before, not in one go anyway. I normally do 20. Now, one thing with this is it's loud, so best doing this outside or in your garage, somewhere that you're not going to hear it basically from the house, because when you turn it on, as you'll hear in a second, it's pretty loud. So while it's getting to temp, the next step is to get a carb and put a carb in and see how it goes. So I have a look around my stash, and we have this here. This is a Honda GX140. This is really old. This is, I believe, at least 10 years probably since this ran. Yeah, probably 11 years since this actually ran. So I think we'll pull this carb off and we'll use this as a test piece. Right, so let's start by getting this old fuel out, if there is any old fuel inside. Get the drain out. Oh, we definitely have a candidate for the ultrasonic cleaner. My God. I'll be honest, I mean, that's probably not even worth cleaning. That's pretty bad. That is, when dust comes out, bits of metal. Yeah, the main jet looks pretty gummed up. Let's get this off. Actually, still some fuel in this. See the colour of that fuel? Basically, it's like a sediment bowl. All the rubbish sits at the bottom, and it's does its job. It's full of gunk and rubbish, so yeah, it's pretty bad, guys. So let's get these ready for the ultrasonic cleaner. Oh, it's tight. It does not want to come off. Impact. There we go. All you need is an impact. Right, so this is stuff that we're going to put in the ultrasonic. That is fine, that is fine. I'm going to get this washer off here. This is your drain. Keep that separate. Let's pull this pin out. This is a pin I was talking about before that I like to put in the ultrasonic, but I like to use the tea bag strainer. And the float should just come out. You've got your needle, which actually looks to be in good condition. That's good. What else do you want to keep? You want to try and get this out. Good thing about these is if you look around, it's sealed, but there's a little nick here. I don't know if the camera's picking it up. It's a tiny gap where you can just get some in and basically pry that out. Now these definitely don't want to go in the ultrasonic. If you put this in the ultrasonic, it'll come out massive. It'll just hang over the edges. It will not seal, and you will be leaking fuel everywhere. Also in here, you want to get that out too. These are actually curved. Flat side and the inside's curved. Don't know what I'm telling you this for. This isn't a carb rebuild video, or this is more of a review on the ultrasonic, but get this. Now these sometimes don't want to come off. You can put these in the ultrasonic if you have to, but it's best to take them off. Just be very careful with them. There's no rush. It's very important, this hole here, you don't damage this. It's basically a channel around here. That hole actually comes to here. If this gets damaged, it'll leak and that will not work. There we go. Lost a tiny bit there, but that should be fine. That shouldn't be a problem at all. It's just around the bolt. So, is there anything else? We can get the main jet out. We'll definitely do that. Now, normally I'll blow through these, but I think I'll just put this in. There we go. The idea of that basically is the fuel comes in one hole and goes out the other, and this here is blanked off, but it's got a channel. So when that's in place, it allows it to come at one hole, channel across and go back in. When that's turned, it's a flat surface, so the fuel has nowhere to go. So basically just stops the fuel from going into the bowl. So the fuel is stopped and it just sits in this pipe. Basically turns the fuel on and off. That can go in the ultrasonic, that should be fine. So that's off, gaskets are off. I don't think these have anything inside, no. Sometimes there's a tiny O-ring at the very top. If you try and get this main jet out, that sometimes can be an issue. Okay, that was even tight. Surprising. It's a nice surprise though. It's clear, but that can go in one, oh, just over one. And there you go. That is basically it. We can take this out. This is what stops this from going any further back. It's pretty much all the way out anyway. It's barely even doing anything there. Just works with the governor, but the rest should be fine. Like I said, normally I'll clean this up with some carb cleaner. I'll blow through all the holes and it'll be fairly clean before I even put it in, to be fair. And then the ultrasonic just finishes it off. But for the purpose of this video, I am literally going to take this as it is and just dunk the whole thing in. I mean, this thing is pretty nasty. It's a genuine Honda Carb, so these things last forever. If it was a Chinese copy, I wouldn't even bother me time. But this float ball, this is pretty bad. It's always a good thing that the float actually floats. It's always nice. So now it's just a case of putting the lid on the stew. We're still getting a temp. This will probably take another half hour, but what I'll do is I'll still turn it on. 44 is actually not too bad. By the next 5 minutes or so it's been turned on, I'll get to 50. Now one thing I will mention is the heating is on. That turns off, back on. What you'll find is if you turn this machine on and back off, be aware that the heating does not come back on. So it's just something to bear in mind, because if you've left it 20 minutes, came back out, checked them, and you're not happy, you want to put them back on again, you set your time, you put it back on, the heating will not come back on unless you manually turn it back on. It's a weird design. I don't know why they've done it like that for, but just bear that in mind. So 20 minutes, it will be 50 degrees. Could knock it up to 55. 55 is fine. You can technically, I believe, go to 60. Yeah, I probably personally wouldn't go to 60. It seems a bit too high. I normally go 50. If it's really bad, sometimes 55, but 50 normally works for me. So 50 degrees at 20 minutes and go. So it's a lot better. It's definitely got the thick of it off, but there's still some left. It's quite rough, that, to be fair. It was quite a lot. And the carb itself looks a lot better. Top needs a good clean. The sediment bowl has still got some sediment in it. So I think we need to go on a bit longer. Now, like I say, I normally clean these thoroughly before I put them in with carb cleaner. So all this dirt and muck on the top would never actually be there normally. So I'm pretty impressed actually, it's came out quite nice. You can see all the oils and the contaminants come with the water, the surface. See all these little white bits here? It's almost like lard. Right, let's have a look, see what's happened. This should be it now. It's 40 minutes is a long time, but it's because I didn't clean them. If I cleaned them in the parts cleaner first, we probably could have got away with just doing this at once, but just thought I'd show you guys a thorough clean. So I would say that's pretty damn clean. It looks perfect. Just let's get these out and inspect them on the bench. Not very pleasant. There we go. So the first thing I'm going to do is give these a quick dry out with the air gun. So noise alert. So yeah, very happy. That turned out really nice. This obviously didn't. I cleaned it up, got the thick off. It's not perfect, but it looks a lot better. I think you can agree with that. So that's looking pretty good. So let's put the main jet back in. Let's put this guy back in. We have this one. Like I say, remember the flat side goes in first. So the sediment bowl, I can go back in. That's nice and clean. That's nice and tight. So let's get the float back in. When this is on, like this, so you want the access to drain screw to go here. The idea behind that is once you're finished with the machine, if you're going to store it, what you should do is drain the ball out. Clearly, yeah, that goes in that one, that goes in that one. so. So that goes in the bottom. This goes in like so. Put that on top. Let's tighten that down. This is snug. Screw this in all the way. Then back out 1 1/4. And that is basically it. I did test by blowing into the inlet for the fuel and it's perfectly fine. When you turn it upside down, it turns off. When you turn it back around this way, the basic flow goes up and down. I'm not reconnecting the fuel because that fuel tank is disgusting. It's just full of rust and all kinds of rubbish. In fact, you know what? I won't even connect the throttle because this needs a full rebuild. So if we just get this back in temporarily, on off, so we'll call that done. Now, do I have something that will fit onto that? So it appear that all these are either too big or too small. So what do we have in this box? Reducer. Do we have a reducer? Because that would actually excellent. In fact, actually that might just, what I was going to do is screw one of these on, but that would be Is this going to work or is this going to make a mess? What do you reckon? There we go. So I got the clean solution out. It's it's not too bad actually. It's fairly dirty, but there's a bit of sediment in the bottom. So when I put this back in, I'll have to put a filter to catch most of it. It's not that important. It doesn't really affect it really. It's just really I don't want all this rubbish going back in. So as you can see, there's quite a bit left over. It's just sand and grit, bits of broken down dirt and bits of oil and what have you. But get that cleaned up and that can be put back in storage, because I use this often, but not that often. Maybe once or twice a month, if that. It's winter now, so there's a possibility this might not be used now for a few more months, at least after Christmas. So I just figured it's a good idea to clean it out and dry store it. So now this is empty, might be a good opportunity to fill it full of water at a later date and test this idea out with using fuel in a jam jar, like a glass jar, fill it full of petrol and cleaning parts like that. If that actually works, that actually might save me a lot of time and hassle. I mean, basically you can fill this full of fresh water, could be even boiled water from the kettle, so you can use it straight away, and then you just got a jar which contains your fuel and you can clean stuff in it and then just put the jar aside, put it back on the shelf for a later date. That would save having these buckets around. It would save this being full, because trying to move this when it's full, it's heavy and it just makes the right mess. It goes all over the unit. So if you could just have this emptied, I could probably store this under the bench and free up some room on the bench. So that actually might be a future project. And I'm quite happy how this carb turned out. That'll run perfectly fine. So it just shows you how well a ultrasonic cleaner works. That literally was just taken off dunked into this guy over here, left for 40 minutes, and then reassembled and put back on. To be honest, a carb this size, you could quite easily just give it a clean in the parts washer. I do have a parts washer over here. You give it a clean in the parts washer, bring it over the bench, some carb cleaner, some compressed air, and you could be good to go. So I think this will be a future project on the channel. So if you're into this kind of stuff, guys, if you're into rebuilding small engines, working on them, cleaning the carbs, flushing the tanks out, changing plugs, stuff like that, oil changes, then do check out the other videos on my channel. I've got quite a few actually at the minute on stuff like this, and I've got many more to come. I think I'm going to leave this one here. I think I've pretty much covered the basics of ultrasonic cleaner, what you can use it for, how effective it actually is. So hopefully that's answered some of your guys' questions. So for now, guys, take care. Thank you for watching. Please like, subscribe, comment down below, and I'll see you in the next one.